Hi, I'm Chelsea, and if you clicked on this video, I'm guessing you're like me and like being a little efficient as a gamer, especially in Stardew Valley. I recently achieved perfection for the first time and created these Notion trackers to remember all the bits and bobs on my way to the summit. I know there are some fantastic quality of life mods that you can add to Stardew Valley, but if you're playing unmodded like me, then I think these Notion trackers can definitely help you out. So here we are in my Notion trackers, and if you click the link in my description, you'll be able to get a copy of these for yourself. In order to add this to your workspace, go ahead and go up here to the duplicate button. It'll click on it, and you'll be able to add these to your own Notion. So these trackers are updated for the 1.6 update, and I've divided them into 5 different boards that I thought would be most useful that are a little tedious to have to look up on the wiki all of the time. We have a board for the Community Center standard bundles, one for the remix bundles, a tracker for catching all the fish, some recipe ingredients, and a perfection tracker. So let's break this down one by one. This first Community Center board is using only the standard bundles, so everything that you see in here are the items that you'll need in order to complete the Community Center. And it's divided up into a bunch of different tabs. Now, there are a ton of items that you will need to do if you're going to complete the Community Center. And this first page is actually the master list of literally every single thing that you could need. So these columns break down into the name of the item, the bundle it's a part of, the room that it's a part of. This checkbox is for done, which means that you've donated this item. Any notes that you might need to find or collect this item, the season, what type of item it is, and its location. At the top here are these different tabs in order to filter out this master list to make it a little bit easier to read and keep track of. So for example, if I clicked on the crafts tab, this takes us to the craft room, and it only shows us the items needed for the craft room bundles. As you can see here, we have things like for the spring foraging, summer foraging, fall foraging, winter foraging, the construction bundle, and the exotic foraging bundle. Here you can see in the notes column for the exotic foraging that there is an asterisk that says requires only 5 out of 9 items. That means that you don't actually need all of these items listed in the exotic foraging list. You only need to donate 5 out of this list. And this breaks down for every single room, so hopefully it makes it easier for you to be able to find everything. I also included the fish tank bundle here so you could see all of the fish you need to donate, and I've also made tabs for the different seasons. Let's say you're trying to finish the community center in year 1. What I did is I would check this list for spring and make sure that I got all of these items either stored or donated before the end of the season so that I knew that I was on track to actually finish in year 1. Finally, this last tab titled Abandoned Joja gets unlocked once you complete the community center, and a couple of these items have a star symbol next to them. So the black star means that it's a gold quality item that you need to donate, and this wine needs to be any wine of silver quality. So the Remix Bundles board is identical to the Standard Bundles Community Center board, but because the Remix Bundles have so many options for items you can donate, it is very, very massive and will require a little bit of work from you in order to start using this from the get-go. So as you can see, the tabs are the same for all of the different community center rooms, but a lot of these rooms may have multiple options for a specific bundle. So here, for example, the spring foraging bundle has 5 items instead of the typical 4, and we have the addition of a spring onion that is a possible item in this bundle. Here in the notes it says that 4 out of the 5 of these items will be chosen at random, so this shows how the remix bundles are a little bit different. We also have a couple of additional bundles that aren't in the standard bundles. For example, we have the sticky bundle, which requires you to donate 500 sap, or we have the forest bundle. Any one of these items can be selected for your version of the remix bundles, so there are 2 ways that you can filter this out and make it accurate for your current playthrough. So the first thing I can do is I can use this bundle filter to only select the bundles that actually are valid for my playthrough. For example, let's say that I have the spring, summer, fall, winter, sticky, and forest bundles for the craft room. Once I've selected all of these, I'm now only going to see the bundles that are relevant for me. And then the second thing that we can do to make this more accurate is to delete any unnecessary items. For example, in the spring foraging bundle, let's say that I got the daffodil, spring onion, dandelion, and wild horseradish, so I didn't get a leek. I can go ahead and just delete it. And that way, I know for sure now that this is exactly what I need to collect in order to complete this bundle. One thing to note is that the filters don't carry over between the different tabs in the tracker. So for example, we just did a filter to select all the bundles here in the crafts room, but if we were to go to the spring tab, these bundles are not selected, so we would have to reselect them again. So just remember to do that for each of the seasons as well. But if you delete an item, it won't come back. So for example, we deleted the leek in the crafts room tab, and so it didn't show up here as well. Next up is the fish caught tracker, and it has all the information you need in order to catch every single fish. At the top here, I made a memo to remind you to scroll down to the bottom of this list so that you can see the list for crab pot and legendary fish, but we'll get to that in a second. So here in this first tab is the all tab. It has every single fish across all seasons. And we have information including the fish's name, its location, the time that you can catch it, what season it's available, what weather it's available, and then some additional things to help you keep track of what you've caught already. So this checkbox is for you to check once you've caught a fish. This checkbox is to indicate that it is a community center fish, so you should keep one so you can donate. This column is to indicate if a fish is in a remix bundle. Make sure that if fish is listed here that isn't actually in your remix bundles, you can go ahead and uncheck it. It's up to you if you want to use this. If it's easier to go back to the remix bundles to track there, then by all means. This column is for the number of fish needed for cooking recipes, and you can keep track if you've already stored those number of fish using this checkbox. And this notes column has any additional information you may need. The rest of the tabs filter out by season, as well as fish needed for cooking recipes, fish needed for the community center, and any fish needed for remix bundles. If you uncheck a fish here in the remix bundles section, it will also disappear from this tab. So again, up to you if you want to track it here or in the remix bundles tracker. Let's say you're using the remix bundles, you can go ahead and take the community center checkbox and you could just hide it, just to make it a little bit cleaner for you to see which different columns that you actually need. And now here we're in the spring tab, so we can see all of the fish that are possible to catch in the springtime. If you check this box under the caught column, the fish will go down to the bottom of the list to make it easier to see which fish you haven't caught yet. During my playthrough, this was probably my most used tracker. That way I didn't have to go back and forth to the wiki. Underneath the fish table, there are two more tables for crab pot fish and legendary fish, which are pretty straightforward. For the crab pot fish, there's only two locations that you can find these fish, either in the ocean or in freshwater rivers or lakes. A column for if you've donated it to the community center, and how many are required for cooking recipes. For legendary fish, there are first and second generation legendary fish, and they're all included here in one tab. In order to catch legendary fish, you need to have a certain fishing level, which are listed here for your reference. Next is the recipe ingredients board. I use this to keep track of all of the ingredients that I needed every single season so that I could cook as many recipes as possible once I got my kitchen. This is similar to all of the other boards that it's divided by season, as well as a tab for fish and a tab for miscellaneous ingredients. This shows the name, the number of ingredients that you need, what season you can find it in, a checkbox to use once you've collected these items, any notes about where to find the seeds or the forage for this, and the type of ingredient it is. So here in the spring tab, we can see it's mostly crops and also includes all the different fish that we could catch. It's up to you if you want to keep track of the ingredients here in this tracker for fish, or if you want to use the fish tracker. The miscellaneous tab catches all the other ingredients that aren't crops or fish. So we have things like eggs and milk, coffee and cheese. We also have things you have to buy from Pierre's like sugar and oil, most likely. Here at the bottom we have 6 different recipes, and these are recipes that you will cook that then get used as ingredients in other recipes. But this note shows that the ingredients are already accounted for. So for example, these 8 eggs, some of them will contribute to the omelet to be able to then use the omelet in a different recipe. So you don't need to keep any additional ingredients, just make sure that when you cook these items, like for example, when you cook a tortilla, you're gonna need to cook 2 of them in order to use in different recipes. Finally, we've made it to the perfection tracker. There are a lot of little things that you have to do in order to reach perfection, so I tried to encompass most of those things here in this board. So this first tab is the main tab, and this is basically a breakdown of what you see at the perfection tracker in Mr. Key's Walnut Room. So you have to build the golden clock, build the obelisk, etc., etc. There are also references to other boards or tabs in this checklist so that you know where you can keep track of those things. Here we have the obelisk tab, and so in order to build the different obelisks, you need to collect certain ingredients. So this helps you keep track of all of those. In the Star Drops tab, this lists out all 7 Star Drops and how you find them. The Monsters tab can be useful if you don't want to run to the Adventurers Guild to see which monsters you still need. This final tab is for the 15 crops achievement, which means you have to ship 15 of each of these crops. It's a little tedious to have to go into your menu and check them, so maybe you do that once a season and you just check to make sure you've actually shipped 15 of each of these, but it can be a little bit hard to remember, so I put it here for you. Like I said before, there are a bunch of different achievements that you need to complete in order to reach perfection, but these were the ones that I felt like were the most tedious in my own playthrough, though you're of course welcome to make trackers of your own. I hope you found this video and the Notion trackers helpful. Leave a comment down below if you've used something like this, or if you're like me and like to kind of keep track of everything in an external form. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Bye!